leaders in our church. Thank God for that. Then the last set is the 7 premarital issues. Number 1, serious past relationships. And I'm sure you can discuss those things with Father Gawargius about the impact of past relationships on my future marriage. Because I need to separate myself from my past. I cannot down the road in my marriage 5, 6, 8 years from my marriage and say, I wish I got married to somebody else. My old friend, my high school friend. Doesn't work that way. Marriage, my dear brothers and sisters, is a one-way road with no U-turns. Period. Remember that. It's a one-way road without U-turns. You cannot change your mind. Our own relationship together, dating, because we need to know each other. We need to spend time with each other to understand each other. Then ties to my family and parents. Please prepare your parents from now that you are going to separate. You are going to leave. And when you leave, you are doing God's desire and God's commandment. A man shall leave his father and his mother. It doesn't mean that we are going to stop honoring our parents, please. Leaving my parents does not mean that I am going to stop honoring my parents. I can't. This is one of the commandments. And they need me to honor them and take care of them, especially when they need me badly. Financial situations, yes. If you have a heavy loan or debt or anything, you need to uncover that to your future spouse. Spiritual religious commitments, calling. If you are going to be ordained a priest, and you know that very well, you have to tell your future wife about that. Don't surprise her with that, please. Okay? Other limitations, physical, mental problems, diseases, chronic disorders, etc. And then fighting against pornography before getting married. My personality. Who are you? If I ask you, who are you? Where do you belong to? Who am I? Should I need my personality? Yes. I can give you some few examples from 7 examples again from personality. People pleaser person. Are you a people pleaser? Do you know how when you need to say no that you have to say no? That you don't need to please God rather to please people? You know that or not? Please. Because this is something good. To know how to become assertive. You know, assertive people know how to express themselves in 4 words. I feel, I think, I believe, and I need. It's very important in marriage. Assertiveness. Number 2, a resentful, angry person. What do you think of your mood? You have a dark mood like angry, resentful. Some people are like that. It's very tough. It's very challenging to live with somebody who is angry all the time. Very, very, very negative mood. Number 3, a spoiled, narcissistic person. You were just rotten spine when you were young. I mean, sorry for your spouse. It's very, very hard to live with a narcissist. Okay, please. Fix that now, as soon as possible. Number 4, a childhood deprived person. You are someone who never had a nice childhood, good childhood. You were miserable during childhood. That's something that you need to work on, because that can reflect on your future marriage. And the best way to do all of that is to go and get some good Christian counseling. Number 5, a perfectionist or anxious person. Yeah. It's tough also, very challenging to live with somebody who's a perfectionist or a warrior, like somebody who's very anxious all the time, have fears, panic, etc. Number 6, a guilt-ridden, depressed person. Somebody is saying, sorry, every minute. No, that's not, sorry doesn't mean that you are a humble person. Sometimes sorry means maybe low self-esteem, or depression, or negative self-image. And the last one is a mood swinger. Unpredictable person. Like you may be nice and smiling and laughing, and all of a sudden, like an explosion, bomb. Yeah. Unpredictable. That's very tough. Look into this chart and think of yourself, who you are. Trauma. Very good to work. We said trauma happens during childhood, but how it may define my marriage. Yes. 4 examples of trauma. Exposure to child neglect. You didn't have good parenting. Or you were deprived. Your childhood. You were treated as an adult when you were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and you underwent that, what we call parentification. They made you like a parent, or made of you a parent, rather than a child. That's bad. Number 3, exposure to childhood abuse. Verbal, emotional, sexual, physical, or violence, etc. All of these are examples of trauma that can happen to us early in life. And the younger the age, the deeper the scars of trauma left on your mind. So we need to address that, because they can, even example like we were just talked about, intimacy, diminished desire, inhibited desire, or deep fear of intimacy in both genders can be resulting from trauma. Failure of arousal in both genders, premature ejaculation, gratification in males. The 4 recommendations here: healthy education before you get married. Yes, please read as much as you can about marriage. There are great Christian books. Look into the chart Abuna is offering to all of you. Names of books. Very good. Treatment of problems before marriage. Yes, as soon as you realize there is some issue, please address that as soon as you can, with somebody that you can trust. Number 3, healthy communication. It's always. And number 4, keeping God in your marriage. Finally, securing my marriage through unconditional mutual love between me and my spouse, realistic expectations from each other. Remember, we are human beings. We are not angels. We are not perfect. So please subject your expectations to the factor of reality. And number 3, accepting the different other, as we said. Sincere repentance before marriage. We talked about that. Forgiveness of spouse and of self. It's important. Before you go to bed, you need to forgive and forget. Don't say, I forgive and I'm not, but I can't forget. No, it can't work that way. When you forgive, you shall forget. Period. And number 6, trusting God's transforming power in me. When I submit myself to God, ask Him to change me, He will change me. And then keeping God in our marriage. Thank you so much, and remember, with God, all things are possible. And this is my number. Glory be to God now.
Actually, I want to ask Dr. Yousry something that I know that he's going to answer it. The problem of child molestation on marriage.
In fact, it's child molestation, which is child abuse in general. I'm sure Abuna means sexual molestation. Yes. What does happen to any child who was exposed to touching, molesting, molestation, sexual touch, anything that's sexual? It's exactly like you are hitting on the centers of sexuality in the brain or in the mind of the child. What is the normal age that our sexuality should start to wake up? What is the age normal? 12, 13, 14, that's the time when the sex hormones are being poured into the bloodstream, genitals are being growing, etc., etc. But now with a child who's 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, those centers controlling sexuality are still dormant. You know the word dormant is what? Sleepy. And when you wake them before due time, I'll just give you an example. You went to sleep at 11 o'clock in the evening, and someone will come and shake you up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the middle of your sleep, having sweet dreams. What would be your first reaction?
Resistance.
Feelings. Resistance is an action. What's the feeling? You panic. You feel scared. And you may think that you are watching a nightmare. Correct? 1 or 2 o'clock and somebody is shaking you up. What's that? No? This is exactly what happens. When we awaken those gender control, or sexual control centers in the brain prematurely, we are exposing the child's mind to intensive emotions and feelings, a mix of scare, fear, worry, but at the same time, there's something very crucial here. Listen to me. Any stimulation to those sexual parts in my body would lead into what? What is the feeling of touching our genitals? Feel good or bad sometimes? Huh? Good. Correct? We all experience that. Touching those sensitive parts in my body may give me some sort of pleasure. So we have fear, we have pleasure, And then number 3 feeling is sense of what? Guilt. What's going on with me? Especially daddy and mommy told me, don't let anybody touch you. Don't let anybody see you naked. Don't touch yourself sometimes. And now someone is molesting me. Wow. Shame, guilt, fear, pleasure. What a mix. This mix of emotions and feelings will end up with the trauma, scar. Trauma means something that will leave scar. Like when you have a pinprick in your finger, it's painful, it bleeds for a second, then no pain. But when you are injured with a knife, the pain might not be that bad, and the wound would heal but leave some scar. Imagine that this is exactly what will happen into the mind of the child. Scar. So this child will grow many feelings, and those feelings are very strong and leading the child to the middle of nowhere. You know what do I mean by the middle of nowhere? Like vacuum and depression. Depression can easily creep into the life of the child because of that. The child will hate himself or herself. The child will believe that he or she is a bad boy or a bad girl. The child will feel like he or she is doomed, like he is going to live a life of no control sexually. That's why many of those children, when they grow up, they start to fall victims to masturbation, sometimes pornography, acting out sexually, relationships, getting very curious about sexuality, trying to put themselves on anything that will give them sexual pleasure, ending up with sometimes with something we call borderline personality disorder, etc., etc. Terrible things. That's why this country and those civilized countries, they consider child molestation as a crime that will need to take that perpetrator, that person who caused that, into prison and be stumped with that kind of child molester, sexual predator, a pervert who would probably live like that for the rest of his life or her life. So this is a detailed explanation about child molestation. Thank you.
I'm asking this question because about 10 years ago, a couple got married, and the husband came and told me for 4 months, she told him, don't touch me, don't touch my private organs. 4 months. And I sent it to some psychologists and tried, but after 4 months, because he knew, he told me that she was child molested when she was young, and this is the reason. Thank you for attending. Thank you for Dr. Yousry. And we are going now to take our dinner.